Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning everyone.
Morning.
Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Ahmad TV as a moderator today. Today we will continue the academic presentation from Peru. But first, let me introduce the biography of Galuh. My name is Galuh Pamulangsi, that born at 23rd March 1998, alumnus from SM Alani Jorong, and alumnus from SMP Negeri 2 Jorong. And right now she student at Abu Bakar University for semester active English department, batch 2016. Okay, the title of this thesis is The Teacher's Report and Problem in Enhancing Student Motivation and Learning English at SMP Negeri 2 Academic Year 2008 and 2010 by Hajarna Rahmawati. Okay, Galuh, the floor is yours.
Thank you for moderator. Okay. My name is Galuh Pamulangsi and today I will be presenter for our academic presentation with the title The Teacher, Effort and Problems in Enhancing Students' Motivation and Learning English at SMP Negeri 3 Banjarmasin. And the content is we have 5 introduction, review, methodology, finding result, and the last is conclusion. The first chapter is talking about introduction. 1.1 The background. First of all, I would like to give a little bit explanation and definition about the motivation. Motivation is some kind of internal drive pushes someone to do things in order to achieve something. The motivation is also said by Brown in 2000 about a cognitive way of motivation includes factors such as the need for exploration, activity, stimulation, new knowledge, and ego enhancement. 1.2 is about research problem for this thesis. The research problem is what are the teacher efforts in enhancing students' motivation in learning English, especially at SMP Negeri 3 Banjarmasin. Next is objective. The objective of this thesis is the teacher efforts in enhancing students' motivation in learning English, and the second one is problem in enhancing students' motivation in learning English. The significance is the researcher have found 3 significant when she doing the research. The first one is describe the teacher effort and problem in enhancing the motivation. The second one, the research encouraged other teachers to be more active to find ways in enhancing student motivation. And the last is give knowledge for the researcher and everyone who is going to be teacher, especially English teacher. Next one is scope and limitation. The first one is subject of this research are the 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade students in SMP Negeri 3 Banjarmasin. The second one is focus only on the teacher's effort and problem in enhancing the motivation in learning English. And the third one is only observes the motivation of the students in learning English that can be observed. That is eccentric motivation. And then we move through to the second chapter, that is review of related literature. In this one, in this chapter, I found about two experts that have research about the motivation. The first one is from Hilgard in Fitzroy that says that motivation is a general term characterizing the needs, drive, aspiration and purpose of organism as designated or regulated needs satisfying or goal-seeking behavior. And from Hilgard and Fitra, we can get that motivation is something that everyone, especially students, have in purpose to achieve something or to seeking something. The next is about motivation can be defined as extents to which you make choices about one, goal to course, and B, effort you will devoted to that course by Brown in 2001. In this, we can get that motivation is extends to push you to make choices about the goal or the wish, something that you want to get, something you want to pursue. And the second is about how the pushes you get to gain what you want. The next is type of motivation. Type of motivation is two, intrinsic and extrinsic. The intrinsic is have two types, that is integrated and instrumental, and the extrinsic is have the definition is that extrinsic factor which can be in form of reward, pleasant atmosphere of study, and interesting teaching learning process. The types of motivation is two types, that is intrinsic. Intrinsic is something that can be seen, something that can be given, because intrinsic is coming from the inside of people, the inside of your student. That is intrinsic. That is not same with extrinsic, that the factor can be get from reward, lesson, or something that can be given from other people to others. The next is the function of motivation. From Tabrani in Fitria in year 2005, the function of motivation are five. The first one, to encourage reading and action. The second one, to rest and action in learning. The third one, to direct students' activity. The fourth one, to give spirit to the students in learning activity. And the last is to give motivation and instruction to behavior. That is students' behavior and learning activity. Yellen and Weston in Burham associate that students who are motivated and involved are not likely to misbehave as those who are bored and uninvolved. The next is effort in enhancing the students' motivation. By Iskandar in Philosophy of Education suggested that in effort enhancing students' motivation, there is 10 practical guidance. The first one, explaining the purpose of the study. The second, give prize. The third, creating the competitive atmosphere. The fourth, giving prize. The fifth, giving punishment. The sixth, giving an extra attention. Next one, creating a good habit. The eighth one, helping the students. 9, using Paris method of teaching, and number 10, using a good and effective media. Next is chapter 3, methodology. In this thesis, I have found 4 points in methodology. The first one is research design. In this thesis, the research using descriptive method to descriptive the meaning of motivation for students and the teachers in learning English. The second one is population and sample. The population, the researcher used about 18% of 611 students from SMPN 3 Banjarmasin and the 3 English teachers. The next one is data and collecting procedure. The data is in front of qualitative data, and the data is collecting by observation, interview, and The next is chapter 4, findings. What the researcher finding the problems in enhancing students' motivation, especially at SMP Negeri 3 Banjarmasin, is that come from students' family background. The second one is student personal problem, and the third one is the environment of classroom. The finding from this thesis, the researcher give us a point that what make students' motivation down and not give their enough push to learning English is this third point. The 2 of 3 point is really concerned in students, especially their family and their personal problem. The chapter 5 is conclusion and suggestion. The first one I will explain. For chapter 5 is about conclusion. In this thesis, I have found two points. That is, the first one, the efforts to motivate the students are 9 points. Giving prize, really competitive. Giving pricing, extra attention, punishment, good habit, helping, using various methods, and a good or effective media. The next point is about problem in enhancing students' motivation. That is really concern students, especially their family background, their personal problem, and the third one is the environment of the classroom. The next is suggestion. The suggestion that can be found is that by work together with other teachers, the problem about low motivation around the students that can be solved if we work together. The summary. This research talk about the teachers' effort to motivate students to be more eager to learn, especially in English. This research also informs us about the problems that can be hindrance in increase the motivation that students have. About my comment about this thesis is that first of all, motivation is one of most important aspects that make students have eagerness to learn, and we also gain new knowledge about motivation itself and how to make our students be more motivated and eager in learning English. That is my presentation. Thank you for your attention. I will return it to moderator.
Okay, the next session is Q&A. If you have a question, let's raise your hand. Okay, Shiva.
My name is Shiva India. My question is there any suggestion for the future researchers who take the same topic as your classmate?
Okay, the future. Well, when I searching thesis in our library, I found this thesis quite interesting enough because it is talk about motivation, and as you all know, motivation is found with two types, extrinsic and intrinsic. It's honestly, it is quite complicated when we think about motivation because we don't know is our student really eager to learn or not. So when I read it, and I do have hope to make the sentence with this thesis that talk about motivation in student, because it is also a responsibility for our job, a teacher, to motivate the students for their own good. That is why. Thank you.
You get it? Okay. Okay, that's it for the kind of presentation. I'm sorry for the mistake. See you next time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.